Hey team, how y'all doing today? So today I want to talk about something that's rather unique with HYROS, something that you can do with HYROS, especially if you have like a sales call type of funnel or you run like some sort of webinar, some sort of like, let's say like funnel where you are pointing people to like a landing page where you're then like asking them like a questionnaire, right? And you're trying to qualify them. And then from the qualification, right? So based on the questions that they ask, you could then qualify them if they're a sales qualified lead and then get them to go to a calendar where they book a call, right? So they can get on a phone call with a closer, okay? Something like that. In those cases, this is especially unique and good for you because what we can do is we can take financial information like their credit score or their cash on hand or something along the line of like, you know, what, how much credit they can get approved for or their assets, stuff like that, right? We can do this through a software called Leadfi, okay? And so let me just show you what that looks like. So like if you have Leadfi, after they're done answering that questionnaire, Leadfi will pull the information of that person, do a soft credit check on them, okay? Give you their credit score and all of those details, okay? So Leadfi right here, all right? And then if you have HYROS, especially if you have HYROS, we can extract that data from Leadfi and bring it into HYROS as a stage. And I'm gonna show you how you can set that up right here today. But basically this is very unique because you'll be able to see like, you know, the credit scores, like 700 credit scores and above, at the campaign level, the ad set level, and the ad level, okay? So, like, for example, the first thing that you would want to do is utilize a tool like Zapier, okay? The first trigger that you would want to use is webhooks by Zapier, okay? And then you would basically want to just click on catch hook. Once you do that, you can then, you know, just skip the configure part right there. Just continue. And then Zapier is going to give you a webhook URL. You can then just message me and just send me that webhook URL and then I can send it to Leadfi and then they can set up a Zap where they send the information that they actually are giving you to this webhook, and then we'll have a string of data that we can basically map, and then we can connect that into HYROS, okay? So, you know, like by the email or the phone number, we can then like, you know, extract like their credit score just as an example from there. And then we'll be able to go inside HYROS and generate reports based off of exactly that, okay? So like those would actually come in as a stage inside HYROS, okay? So we have like lead stages like MQLs, SQLs, etc. But we could also have like stages like 700 credit score, 750 credit score, 800 credit scores, etc. So you can start to kind of like build a list, and then we can even take that data and we can send it back to the ad platform as an offline conversion. So like let's say you're utilizing something like Facebook, we can then set up the conversions, okay? And then we can go inside conversion rules right here and go lead rules and say like create lead rule and then say if any of the stages right here are applied to a lead, and then we can basically map that stage, send it as a conversion custom event to Facebook Events Manager or Google Ads as a conversion action, okay? So we can basically like map these stages or these credit score information into HYROS, see that at the campaign level, the ad set level, the ad level, and then send that back as an offline conversion to train the pixel. Even on top of that, we can then even create audiences, so we can start to synchronize leads based on the information that Leadfi is also providing us. So like we can, you know, bring this in as a stage into HYROS, but we could also bring it in as a tag, right? And then if we can bring it in as a tag, we can go to audience right here and we can start to synchronize leads. So like let's say we bring in an action tag of anyone that has a 700 credit score and above, right? We can say that if anyone has this tag, let's just call it SQL tag, and that could be 700 credit scores and above, then start to synchronize leads with this, you know, like audience that we create. And we can create any kind of audience. We could call it like, you know, credit score audience or whatever, SQL audience, and then we can use that audience for retargeting purposes inside of Facebook or Google, okay? So this right here at a high level is what we can do with the financial information that Leadfi provides, okay? And it's super useful, okay, because you can start to train your pixel, your data, solely off of, you know, information that is truly qualifying. Because, like, if you're asking people, like, questions on a type form, as an example, like, you know, what's your investment capacity, right? And they say, well, my investment capacity is like 50 grand. Like, I can invest $50,000. But their credit score shows that they're like, you know, 450 or something like that, you know, like 500, whatever, then that right there might be a lead that you don't even want to mess with because, or you don't even want to waste your time with, because most likely they're lying. You know, someone that can invest 50K into a high ticket offer is most likely not someone that has a poor credit score, right? So we can kind of like, you know, just weigh the options or balance the scales out with that type of financial data. Hope this helps, guys. If you need anything else or have any questions, please just let me know.